Hello, curious? Welcome to today's video. We know that the population of our planet has already gone through several epidemics, such as plagues, famines, viral diseases, even becoming pandemics, as we see happening today, due to the new coronavirus, also known as LAR-19. Some of these epidemics have already been dispersed due to medicines created by laboratories, which bring a cure. Others still find themselves in the midst of humanity, because they still don't have medicine, or simply because of lack of good human action, which with small amounts of food, could end this epidemic. As you could already understand, we are talking about the hunger that plagues many people, especially in Africa. In today's video, we're going to talk about the biggest epidemics and pandemics in the world. Before we get to the point, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. Bubonic plague. The bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death, became a pandemic in Europe and Asia, in the year 1333 to 1351, caused by a bacteria called Yersinia pestis, which is common in rats, and is transmitted to man through fleas that are on these rodents. And they come into contact with humans, transmitting the Black Death. The different symptoms are inflammation of the lymph nodes, followed by shivering, localized pain, apathy, vertigo, and high fever. Treatments for this plague are based on antibiotics. Without treatment, 60% of people die. This disease killed between 75 and 200 million people in Eurasia. Cholera. In 1817, the first cholera epidemic took place, killing thousands of people. This disease is caused by a bacteria called Vibrio cholera, or Vibrio cholerae, which lives in contaminated water and food. The symptoms of this bacteria are intense diarrhea, vomiting, and muscle cramps. When Vibrio comes into contact with the small intestine, it multiplies and releases a toxin, causing this colossal diarrhea for a few days. Treatments are based on antibiotics, and there is also a vaccine to fight the bacteria, but it is not that effective. Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is a disease found in ancient Egyptian skeletons for over 7,000 years. One of the most recent cases where it was found was in a pre-Columbian mummy in Peru. Tuberculosis spread in Europe in the 18th century, where it became known as the White Plague. It is caused by a bacterium known as Koch's bacillus and is highly contagious, being transmitted from person to person through the respiratory tract. Its symptoms include evening fever, night sweats, weight loss, tiredness, and fatigue. If the patient is treated with antibiotics within 6 months, he can be cured. Between 1850 and 1950, tuberculosis killed 1 million people. Smallpox. Smallpox is an infectious disease caused by one of the smallpox virus strains, smallpox major and smallpox. It killed about 300 million people between 1896 and 1980. Orthopox virus variolae is transmitted from person to person, usually through the respiratory tract. Symptoms include fever followed by a rash in the throat, mouth, and face, later pustules that can leave scars on the body. In 1796, a vaccine was created by Edward Jenner, but many became infected and died before the vaccine was distributed to everyone. Until 1980, smallpox was eradicated from the planet thanks to a vaccination campaign. Spanish flu. The Spanish flu, also known as influenza virus associated with recurrent H1N1 flu, is an unknown mutation of the virus. It was the most serious pandemic growing in Spain and claimed victims all over the world. An important man in Brazil, President Rodrigues Alves, was killed by this flu in 1902. The Spanish flu spreads in the air, saliva and sneezing. Symptoms include cold, swelling of the lungs and severe headaches. This flu killed between 17 and 100 million people worldwide, infecting 27% of the world's population. There is no right treatment as the virus is constantly changing. Influenza vaccines prevent contamination of the virus. Typhus. Between 1918 and 1922, the conditions at the end of the First World War led to an outbreak of typhus, causing the death of more than 3 million people due to poor sanitation. This led to the proliferation of rats across the European continent, with a greater focus on Russia. Typhus has similarities to the Black Death, being spread by the bite of an infected flea. When the person scratches the bite site, the insect's contaminated feces enter the bloodstream. Symptoms include high fever, headache, and delirium. Treatment is with antibiotics. Malaria. Malaria is caused by a protozoan, which was discovered in the 1880s, known as Plasmodium. It is considered one of the worst tropical and parasitic diseases today. About 3 million people have died each year since 1980 from this disease. Transmission is by the Anopheles mosquito contaminated with the malarial protozoan. Symptoms include chills, fever, and sweating. The protozoan destroys liver cells and red blood cells, and in some cases can destroy red blood cells in the arteries that carry blood to the brain. There is no specific treatment for malaria, but there are drugs that can treat and cure the symptoms. AIDS. AIDS was discovered in the United States in 1981. The WHO, World Health Organization, considered AIDS an epidemic. It is caused by the HIV virus, which destroys the immune system, leaving the body very weak and prone to further infections. Transmission is through blood, sperm, and breast milk. There is no cure for AIDS, but there are medicinal drugs that prevent the virus from multiplying, but do not completely eliminate it from the body. About 22 million people have died since 1981. H1N1, also known as swine flu, had its first pandemic in 1919. This flu is caused by the strain of the H1N1 virus, which started in pigs. Symptoms include fever, cough, sore throat, chills, and body aches. The spread of H1N1 is by respiratory droplets, either by kissing, shared objects, or by touching the contaminated area. Treatment requires rest, plenty of fluids and painkillers, and can be prevented by coronavirus vaccines. Finally, we come to the last epidemic that has been plaguing humanity in recent days: the coronavirus, also known as Video-19. On March 11, 2020, it was declared by the WHO that the spread of the virus around the world has become a worldwide pandemic. The 2019 coronavirus is a group of viruses that cause respiratory infections and is more likely to affect people with weak immune systems. Symptoms are cough, sore throat, runny nose, fever, and difficulty breathing. There is still no specific treatment against the coronavirus, but drugstore companies worldwide are testing possible drugs and vaccines to exterminate the virus. The coronavirus is transmitted by coughing, saliva, personal contact, and shared objects. To date, closures around the world have resulted in more than 500 million infections and more than 6 million deaths. Preventions to avoid contracting the virus are very easy, such as always washing your hands, using alcohol gel, covering your mouth when coughing, not sharing personal items, etc. And that's it, guys, we've reached the end of another video. If you liked it, leave your like, your comment, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. And don't forget to share with your friends so everyone can see and stay up to date with new content. Until next time, curious, bye.